Hi everyone! In today's video, I am sharing a story about a personal injury and my recovery journey. I hope what you take out of my story is 1, everyone gets injured and no one likes pain. 2, it's normal to freak out and feel scared when you first injure yourself. And 3, there are many things you can do about it, you just need a bit of guidance. So about a year ago, I injured my right dominant wrist, and even though as a physiotherapist I understand how the body works and how we get injured, my first reaction to my wrist pain was catastrophize. So essentially what that means is that I freaked out and had a mini mental breakdown. In my head, I was thinking, why am I having this pain again since I had wrist pain before about 3 years ago? How did I injure it? Not my right side, my dominant side. It hurts to work. I have to take time off work. It hurts to lift. It hurts to type. Yes, my reaction was bad. After that phase, I think it lasted about 15 minutes or so, I don't remember. I took some deep breaths and started to assess my wrist. So first of all, nothing was broken. There was no bruising, there was no swelling. Some of my movements were limited, so it hurt going into flexion. It hurt going, it was very limited range of motion. I think I only had half of the range. And of course, using my right hand for any work or lifting caused pain. So the first thing I did was breathe, calm those nerves, assess the condition. So of course, if you're not a physiotherapist, I recommend seeing a registered physiotherapist who can help assess your condition and determine a personal treatment plan. The second thing I did was rest my wrist and stop aggravating it. So I took a few days off to monitor my wrist and do some self-treatment at home. Number 3, I was still moving and using my wrist, but in modified ways so that I don't further injure it. So I modified some of my daily activities and habits, including the way I brush my teeth. So if something like this ever happened to you before, you'd understand how weird it is to brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand. It's like you have no idea what you're doing. I also had to pause some of the workouts that I was doing. Number 4, I did some home self-treatments to reduce pain and inflammation, calm things down, and speed up the healing. So first I used some ice for temporary relief just on the first day. I did some gua sha. So this is a tool that I really like to use from Sidekick Tool, and it was mainly to target one of the contributing factors to my wrist pain, and that was high tension in my wrist extensor muscles. So that's why I really like this tool. I'll make a separate video to show you how to use it. It's really great if you're using your hands the whole day, if you're on the computer and typing a lot. But today's video is on my story, so I'll share that in another video, and I'll just leave a link so that you can check it out. And some other modalities that I used for pain and inflammation, I did some acupuncture at home. Obviously, as an acupuncture provider, I'm able to needle myself in certain areas as well. So I did that for my clients where I'm seeing them through video call appointments. I'm showing them how to do self-acupressure, so applying pressure to acupuncture points to get some of those benefits as well. And another thing I did was laser therapy. So a good in-home option that I shared with you before in an earlier video was the IASO's portable laser. So you can check out that video. I talk about all the indications, benefits, contraindications, precautions, but basically you can just stick it onto this area, and this one conveniently has the band. I'm not going to put it on today, but the wristband is perfect for my wrist actually, so great option for in-home treatment as well. And all of these are just different modalities that you can combine together to help with that pain and inflammation to speed up the healing. So the last thing I did was some therapeutic tape to support my wrist joint and muscles. Basically, it doesn't restrict my movement, it facilitates the healing while allowing me to still use my wrist and move my wrist. 5, I did specific movements and stretches to keep things moving and the muscles working. So it's very important to not just stay like a stone. You want to keep moving and using the wrist in order for it to heal properly. My wrist pretty much felt better within a week or so because it was a minor injury. I treated things very early on. I didn't further aggravate it. Unfortunately, about 2 weeks later, I was exercising and there was a particular movement that I was not ready for. Obviously, I wasn't fully mindful of that, and it flared up my wrist pain again. So then I had to modify things and treat things again. The second flare-up is often worse. If you're one of my clients experiencing that, you'll understand because you're re-aggravating something that just healed, and in addition to that, you're also tapping into more psychological and emotional components. So what I mean is that you're likely more anxious and stressed the second time around, because you may be blaming yourself for something that you did, right? You're like, oh, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have injured it again. You may expect something more serious to be happening the second time, and you may not look forward to going through that whole treatment and rehab process again. So sometimes these psychological and emotional pieces make the second injury harder to heal, or it takes longer simply because of that. And it's very important as a physio to really address those components as well and reassure my clients that things will be okay. And our feelings do affect our pain experience. When we feel stressed, our immune system is weaker, our pain threshold is lower. If I haven't explained more about pain in a previous video, the definition of pain is an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience. So pain is personal, it's real, it's unpleasant. You feel it physically, it's also an emotional experience, right? Our thoughts and emotions can heighten our pain experience and change it. So in total, it took about 3 months for my wrist to get better fully. And after everything got better, I was more mindful of my wrist at work. I was working with the proper ergonomics, being in tune with my wrists during daily activities and workouts. I continued to do various wrist strengthening exercises, and it felt great. But because of the length of time it took for my wrist to fully heal within that 3-month period, as with most injuries that my clients come in to see me with, right? It can take anywhere from 1 month to 3 months. Some more complex cases may take 6 months or more. Because of how long your body may be injured or feel injured, there's more attention to the pain. There's more attention to that particular body area, and naturally we may treat it differently even after it gets better. So essentially what happened to me was that I was babying my right wrist and treating it differently comparing to the right side, even after the 3 months, even after all the tissue injury, all the inflammation has healed, and I had no more pain. So I was still modifying my workouts for my right wrist. I was still babying it unintentionally, very unconscious level. If I saw a client of mine do it, I would be able to point it out 100%. But when it happened to myself, I didn't really see it. So I would say it wasn't until about just 3 months ago, that's when I finally completed my recovery journey for my wrist, I would say. Just around the start of COVID-19, I was taking a course on pain management. Some of you may know it as chronic pain. We like to call it persistent pain because the term chronic sounds like it will never get better and you're stuck with it, which is not true. Pain lasting for longer than normal amount of time is different, and it needs different treatment. So there's the biological, physical components that we need to treat. But as I mentioned earlier, because of the amount of time we've been in pain, there's also significant influence from the psychological, social, and emotional components that we have to address that also contribute to pain experience. The body and the nervous system becomes more sensitive. But because the brain changes every day with everything we see, think, everything we hear, the way we move, it builds new connections in our brains. So it's always possible to make changes and make improvements, which is why persistent pain, not chronic pain. Long story short, taking the course reminded me that my wrist was better by 3 months. I did the proper rehabilitation, I did the strengthening, yet I was still moving it differently and treating it differently after a year, giving it protection that it no longer needs. And knowing that if I continue this, I'll definitely change my brain, how my brain understands my wrist, how my wrist will function and move. So I was like, yeah, no, I gotta stop this. And that mindfulness and awareness component is very important, because if I wasn't aware and I kept doing that, a few years later, maybe just a few months later, my wrist may continue to forever move differently just because of the way that I've been treating it. So this is something that I am very aware of for myself, and something that I really try to educate my clients on as well. So now I'm very confident to say that I've been back to my regular use of my right wrist for over 3 months now. And I just wanted to share this humbling story of how I learned a lot more about pain through my own injury and recovery journey. And I have a lot more empathy for my clients who come to see me. They start feeling better and then it may flare up because of something they do over the weekend. It really happens to us all. It's part of life. I also have greater understanding and compassion for my clients who come in and tell me, this area, it's always been different, or this area, since this injury, it's always felt different and felt weaker. And I'm not saying that 100% every injury or condition would feel the same or go back to its baseline, because it really depends on the injury, if there was a surgery, etc. But certainly if we keep babying an area after it has recovered, treating it differently, thinking about it differently, it will remain injured years later. And I just wanted to share this story with you all. If you didn't get anything out of the story so far, I would summarize that the first most important thing to do when experiencing pain or an injury is 1, breathe. Assess the situation, because it's very natural for us to freak out and catastrophize when we first get injured. Number 2, rest and stop the aggravating movements. 3, go see a health professional or physiotherapist to get proper diagnosis and develop a personal treatment plan so that you can learn ways to modify your daily activities and not continue to aggravate things, getting treatment, and also learning ways to do self-treatment at home. And so right now I've been guiding my clients through video call appointments, and it's been extremely effective and empowering to show what clients can do on their own every single day, right? Not just waiting until they can see someone or waiting once a week to go see someone. It's things that you can do every single day to help feel better and recover sooner. And number 4, finally, learning ways to move properly and return back to regular and meaningful activities. I always aim for my clients to get to an even better state than before their injury, so that they learn to move and live more mindfully and prevent future injury. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you know someone who is experiencing pain or going through a recovery journey of their own, consider sharing this video with him or her. Hit the like if you found this video helpful. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell for notifications on new videos each week. If you live in Ontario, Canada, and would like to book an appointment or free 15-minute consult with me, go to my website, queeniephysio.com/book appointment for details. I'll see you in the next video. Take care for now. Bye-bye.